Hello and welcome. I hope you are ready for late night comic book reviews to return because here I am. It's late at night. We got a comic book here City Heroes Volume 2, Issue number 7, Blue King Studios. It's a nice cover, right? You got Apex fighting a Malta Titan here. The Malta Titan's lasering, shooting missiles and stuff, and he's got it in a freaking headlock. Like, what is that going to do? What is a headlock going to do to a robot? Probably nothing. So let's jump to page 3. And now let us zoom in. All right, here we go. So this issue is really just a lot of combat. Prior to this, we had the first 6 issues were all split up in 2-issue pairs. They were all 2-part stories. We've abandoned that. We're no longer doing 2-part stories. In fact, what we're kind of doing here is a little intermission before things get really crazy for the rest of the series. Not that we know that yet. So got great sound effects here. Oof. Yeah! Holy bleep. Okay, that's not so much a sound effect, but got Horus up here, War Witch. We see Apex's hands here. This is actually a 2-page spread. Deploy missiles, says the Malta robot. And these heroes that are not the main characters of the book are all wearing costume parts. You could make these characters in game. And it really wouldn't be that hard. In fact, this guy is a default set. You just be like, give me the armor set or whatever, and then you put a symbol on his chest. Done. The heroes are here at this warehouse to rescue this guy. Now they don't know that Malta has lured them here. That's something they discover in the course of all this fighting. But for the first part of this book, we just get some great action. It's a nice 2-page spread. Missiles going everywhere, lasers going everywhere. Great foreshortening. This is a great pose right here. In fact, one of the things I really like about this is very 90s, man. You got little hashering right here, little hatches. You got some of this stuff. I like the way this looks. I'd probably like it better if it was higher resolution and way better quality looking on this file, because I think this file is 4 megabytes in size or something. Good grief. But this did come out in the year, 2004. So I guess we can be forgiven for the compression. Let's see, I want to look at page 5. So you can see the guy given the little plot dump here to Apex. Hang on, buddy. I'll have you free in a sec. It's a trap. They reroute the emergency medical teleporters downstairs. Don't worry. We found you, didn't we? We can handle these tin cans. You don't understand. They wanted you here. It's a tarp. So now our heroes got to spend all the rest of this time fighting their way out of this frickin' mess. And there's just lots of fun. I think the Titans are a little off model. They are not this lanky looking from the side, or at least I don't think they are. Maybe they are. Usually I see them with their arms kind of down at the sides, so you don't really see the midsection. But despite that, it looks great. And if you're wondering, was there truth in advertising? Well, just look on the right. Because we got truth in advertising. What was on the cover? Apex putting a headlock on a Malta Titan. What's in the book? Apex putting a headlock on a Malta Titan. Thumbs up. So there's just lots of great action in this book as our heroes deal with Malta and their shenanigans. And you heard what he said earlier, they're intercepting teleport signals and yoinking people downstairs. And so our heroes go down and discover that. But one thing I want to make sure I showed off was the really stupid, silly, fun bit. One of the things Malta Titans do is they merge. So 2 lieutenant level Titans will merge together and make a big, scary Zeus Titan. And it's right here in the book. And doesn't this thing look freaking cool? I'm a sucker for this electric crackle. It's so much fun. And then it goes and boom! Bigger, scarier, badder than before. And here to zap you all with lasers. System integrity restored. This book, this particular issue here, number 7, is just full of lots of great combat, lots of great action, and it's just kind of fun to flip through and look at all this stuff. Because when I look at this kind of just puts in my memory those stupid early memories I have in the game of having to deal with Malta. Because when Malta was first introduced back in, I think it was issue 1 or 2, they were introduced specific. It must have been issue 1 because that's when they added Peregrine Island, I do believe. But when they were first introduced, the whole point of Malta was to kill Regen scrappers because Regen was broken. That power set has done nothing but get nerfed since it was introduced at the start of the game. Other power sets occasionally get buffs. Regen, no sir, only nerfs. So these guys, if you're not Regen, are a pain in the butt because they will just trash you. And our heroes here, they spend this pretty much this whole book fighting these Malta Titans and getting their, well, they're not getting their butts kicked, but they ain't winning so well, you know what I mean? So it's kind of really indicative of how that feels early on in City Heroes to be running into this stuff when you're not expecting to run into something so dang tough. Great job kind of capturing the experience here. Like, a lot of adaptations don't do that so well. They miss key things about what they're adapting, but I think City Heroes didn't really do that in their comic. They totally, at least in the Blue King books, nailed parts of the experience. This merge right here is kind of iconic. You don't get to see it happen too often usually, but it does happen. And it's pretty cool. So this is a fun little issue to flip through for some violence, for some action, for some cool looking stuff. It gets into like what Malta does and some of their backstory and stuff, but that's not really the focus of the Blue King run. They have other fish that they're going to fry here in a couple of issues, so this is kind of like a one-off, as opposed to before when we had like two-offs. We'd have like 2 stories, boom, boom, they were all 2-parters. This is like a standalone thing. And then for the rest of this, we're going to go down a very different path from Malta and start tying everything together between Apex, War Witch, Horus, and some big bad guys. Let's put it that way. You all take care of yourselves. You have a great day. And, you can probably still get these, like, download them for free off the internet because before Paragon Studios went out of business, they just put this stuff out there and you could just get it off of the City Heroes website. I'm sure there's an archive somewhere with all this stuff. You could get it. Check it out for free. Anyway, you all have a great day. Hope to see you again next time. Until then, bye-bye.